tuning into Roll Call. The movie you selected is 7 Pounds, starring Will Smith.
Hey everyone, welcome to Roll Call, the show where two childless millennials gush over movies and follow an actor's journey from their early years throughout their blockbuster hits.
Because, let's face it, this movie is sadder than your neighborhood blockbuster closing.
Yeah, it is.
No more to say. There's not going to be much joking around going on, I feel like. So enjoy the pop culture part of this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm Bria, if this is your first time listening, and welcome to, shall we dub this the Yellow Table Talk? Because I'm sure this episode is going to be reflective and deep, and if you are not prepared to possibly have an existential crisis, don't watch this movie or listen to this episode with us.
Yeah, I thought it couldn't get worse after I Am Legend, but I was wrong. So, hey everyone, I'm Simone, and like Rosario Dawson said in this movie, I too used to be unaudibly hot at one point in my life.
That was a good line.
That made me laugh.
So, if you don't know, today's episode, we're talking about Mr. Willard Carroll Smith in the 2008 drama 7 Pounds. So, let's take a trip back to December of 2008, the cusp of 2009.
Yes.
So, Simone, 2008. Looking back at it, like, I think Hancock was in 2008, right?
Yes.
Such kind of a magical time, and terrible with the recession, but lots of things were, I feel like this is usually the point in decades where things start shifting for the next one, you know?
Yes, like as you're in the
turnover.
Cusp to get into like the next decade of the 2010s, which was an experimental year, but then end capped with 2020 and just a real bummer.
But 2008, I honestly, besides being a music fan, I think that a lot of this year can be defined by the music and the bops. But we talked about some last episode, but we did not talk about Amy Winehouse winning 5 Grammys that year. And it sucked because she's not able to be at the actual Grammy ceremony because she had started a rehab program. But the United States denied her visa?
Yeah, that was kind of shit.
Where does that happen at? Like, who is running that show? They clearly are not, like, in tune with the soul goddess that is Amy Winehouse. But
that video of, because she had just performed and then they announced her winning. And so she was already on stage with all of her bandmates and musicians and stuff. And just like the look of absolute shock on her face.
Yeah.
It's like, it's humbling to watch. I don't know. It's like, I get goosebumps every time.
Yeah. Amy Winehouse, love her. I watched her documentary and became like a bigger fan of her because of that. But I mean, you know, you couldn't go anywhere without hearing like Rehab and stuff around this time. I feel like she's one of those celebrities who was like caught off guard by fame a bit and like too pure for it in a way. And unfortunately, that is why probably she's no longer with us. But another starlet who might be a little too pure for fame, Britney Spears, won big at the VMAs that year, and it was officially like a successful comeback. This wasn't the Britney that we had talked about with Leah in I Am Legend, where it's like, are we sure she's okay and ready to like come back? By then, it seemed like she had actually been in a better place and physically appeared to be better. We all know that probably didn't mean shit, but she won big at the VMAs that year, and so people were like, "Woo, Britney's back." Also, question for you: do you remember Miley Cyrus being semi-scantily clad on the cover of Vanity Fair in 2008?
Yes. Were we just talking about this with No More with Danielle and Jackie?
No, we talked about Britney's Rolling Stone cover.
Oh yeah, because Britney had a very like Lolita Rolling Stone cover where she was in bed with like Teletubbies and stuffed animals and stuff. But yes, I do remember the Miley Cyrus scantily clad, and obviously
They talked about it on their Dude, Where's My Car episode.
Yes, they did, and
Yes.
it's fresh in my mind because I just went back to rewatch that movie. I haven't seen that in years, so thank you so much for the inspiration because it I mean, there's still some stuff that doesn't hold up, but like for the most part, made me bring back so much memory. Anyways, yes, that's why it's so fresh. Yes, I do remember the Miley Cyrus, but I mean, obviously, this is like before she still cut her hair super short. That's not going to be for another like 10 years, maybe maybe a little bit less. That was like 20.
Before she starts twerking everywhere and all that stuff.
Yep.
But I feel like now this wouldn't be a thing because it was like she just had like a sheet around her and like lots of bare back, but it wasn't like a little butt crack showing or anything. I think it was just more so her age and how, soon post Hannah Montana it was. And so people were like, oh,
wasn't she like 15?
She's a child.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if this would be as big of an issue as it was then. Was she 15? I thought she was 18 for some reason. Why would she be? We're the same age. What the hell? Okay. If I was in high school, would I have done that? No. Okay, so yes, this is still problematic.
Yeah. She's just kind of like holding the bed sheet kind of just like over her front, but most of her back is exposed. It's very poised.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I think in honesty that there are definitely like MySpace and probably no, Tumblr didn't really exist at this point, but there are definitely like MySpace, Facebook girls probably with their not disposables, their digital cameras, maybe taking pictures like this, but not being put on magazines. Like teenagers.
Around this time, Miley had some digital camera leakage, and different from Vanessa Hudgens, who was unfortunately full nude, but like Miley was, I think she was in maybe a bathing suit, but obviously doing like the very high up selfies, very pushing out of the bust. But those were her photos that she took herself, right? Like I feel like that's a little different. Versus having most likely a man behind the camera posing you.
I think this was Annie Leibovitz, but still,
never mind.
It's on a national magazine. So.
True.
Yeah, sus. Okay. In 2008, it's a election year, but also an Olympic year. And so we are introduced to the phenom, and at this point, just an all-around badass and historic Olympian, Michael Phelps. This is his first Olympics, and he won every event he entered. And I believe he won 8 medals that year. So, and also this was probably like the beginning of like the $5 footlong commercials. Starring him. $5 footlong. Any 5. But yeah, I feel like that was a big deal too. Like in terms of, Olympics, there's always going to be like storytelling and like, we got to watch out for this. History can be made like this one Olympian or these Olympians and stuff. So, fashion wise, let's talk about this personally. Okay. So fashion wise, I saw some notes that, headbands were a big trend, wide belts, the gladiator sandal, boots, and
tights.
Like, not leggings, but
tights. You would still wear, like, mini dresses, like, long dresses with tights still. And chunky belts over the middle, like, to accentuate the waistline, for sure. And then if you're going full hipster, then you would also do a little headband in the middle.
See, you already... What else? Okay, so in Black culture, I'm just going to talk about three things that I think are pretty big. Two are kind of related. Lil Wayne released his third studio album, The Carter 3, which sold more than 1 million copies in its first week and was the most anticipated album of the year and the most successful. I'm not a huge Lil Wayne fan, but it's undeniable to see his like impact on hip hop, and especially at this time. Lollipop was a huge record, and this is pre-Drake, but you know, he went on to discover or sign Drake and Nicki Minaj, so you know, his legacy has been continued on by their work as well. And fashion wise too, Lil Wayne I feel like had a big impact on hip hop because wearing locks became more popular and less regional, I feel like. I know in the Bay Area it's always been a thing, but I think a lot of other areas seeing someone like him lock his hair was a revolution, but also like the skater rock transition he had started to get into at this time fashion wise with like hoodies, the wallet chains, and stuff like it's studded belts and stuff like that. That was stuff that hadn't been like off limits because, you know, be your own person, but I think at this time you definitely like found a lane and stuck to it for the most part. And we were starting to see more people like be like, well, I like this from over here and I like this. So like there was more like sharing of different cultures and fashion and stuff amongst each other and borrowing. So that's one thing I loved about this time. And a big thing for me, Jay-Z and Beyonce got married in 2008. And I think that this is important because I think it shifted the hip hop relationship landscape. It was always kind of frowned upon to like be in a relationship as a hip hop artist. And for Jay-Z, one of the biggest ones, to be in a very public relationship with a huge pop star, R&B star. And the change of like being a power couple was cool and on trend and like part of people's brands now. Like you have other huge hip hop power couples now that I feel like had it not been for Beyonce and Jay-Z, maybe we wouldn't have like such celebratedness in that arena. So those are my thoughts on that. And the box office of December 2008, some pretty iconic movies. We got The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, Cadillac Records, Bedtime Stories, Marley and Me. That one's for you, Simone.
Absolutely not.
Valkyrie, Yes Man, Revolutionary Road.
That one's for me.
Doubt? I've never seen
No,
that.
Revolutionary Road.
Oh, well, of course. DiCaprio and Kate Winslet back again.
Doubt's like about sexual misconduct in the church. But
yes.
it's good.
And
like
Meryl
it's
Streep's like
yeah.
a nun, right?
She is, and Philip Seymour Hoffman's the like priest, and she's like, I'm fucking on to you. And he's like, you would never. And she's like, bitch, watch me. I'm pretty sure.
And isn't Viola Davis in it too? I feel like that was one of her big roles.
She might. I mean, unfortunately she's not on the front cover. So but I can look that up really quick.
I should watch it. I love Meryl Streep, but yeah, that is a pretty heavy subject. So that's I'm not watching that soon after the trip we've been down.
For sure. Amy Adams and was in it as well.
She was in it.
Oh, you're right, Viola Davis as well.
Cool. And Inkheart is Brandon Fraser. So,
yes.
And now handing it right back over to you. What did 7 pounds cost and make in 2008?
Yes.
Ooh, that rhymed.
Ooh, we love a good rhyme. 7 pounds was released December 19th, 2008. It was put out by oh gosh, I thought I wrote it down. It's Columbia Pictures, and then some like indie production companies as well. But it's the same director that did Pursuit of Happyness, who is Gabrielle Muccino. And this movie cost about $55 million to make, estimated. Opening weekend hit at about $14.8 million. Gross between the US and Canada was 69.95, so we're just going to round that up to about 70 million. But total gross worldwide was about 170 million. So with a 55 budget, that's a pretty good takeaway.
Especially for a drama.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although there were lots of dramas in December, but that's time.
Totally. And like when I think about going through that box office list, all of those dramas were very different from each other. Benjamin Button's this like coming of age / love story, but that it's like never meant to be because of the aging thing. And then Doubt is some like we had just said, some god-awful story about shit that happens in the church. Marley and Me, it's like supposed to be lighthearted, but I absolutely count that as a drama. That is a sad dog movie. Revolutionary Road, about like a couple trying to make it in the 1950s in the suburbs. And then we have 7 pounds. And I had a bit of a sticker shock when I read the 55 million budget, because we've been so used to these big budget, like I Am Legend was like what, 150, like just add another 100 million on there. So when I see a movie like that, I'm like, oh yeah, I forget that like just you can still make a lower budget movie and it can be fantastic, but that's only because you're not going to have all the explosions and the digital effects and stuff.
Yeah, that's true. But I am very curious to hear what Mr. Roger Ebert, Lil Raj, House of Lil Raj, yes, has to say about 7 pounds.
Can we make a Lil Raj shirt, but it's the Renaissance, but he's just like... And he's like, no, it's like the meme of Paula Deen on a stick of butter, but for him, he's like on like a jumbo thing of popcorn, just like... That's a big ask. Never mind. That's a lot.
I'll see what I can do.
Okay. Do you have a guess on how much he rated this film?
I think he should give it 4, but he's a mystery, so I'm gonna go with a safe bet of a hopeful 3.5.
You were very close. He did give this only a 3, which I was shooketh and shocked once more that this didn't earn a 4 out of 4 next to his shelf with Bagger Vance. But at least like a 3.5. But here's what Lil Raj has to say. He titles his article, "The Taxman Cometh." And he says, he goes, "I'm fascinated by films that observe a character who's behaving precisely with no apparent motivation. A good actor brings such a role into focus, as Will Smith does in the movie titled 7 Pounds. Who is he? What does he want? Why is he behaving so oddly for an IRS agent?" He goes on to say, this movie does remind him of a film called Le Samurai, about a man who lies on a bed in a dark motel room and smokes and gets up and pays meticulous attention to his appearance. It's probably one of his like favorite indie films that he would like stream at his little Sundance parties. But he does say that Will Smith displays a rather impressive range of emotion speeds. He can be tough, merciless, and then he can bend the rules on some cases. He can have a candlelight dinner with a beautiful woman, and he can go home. He can sense, the audience can sense his deep sadness. He's angry with people sometimes, but he seems angriest of all at himself, and it's quite a performance. So that I think we can definitely collectively agree on. He doesn't even give too much of the plot away, which sometimes obviously sometimes they can be real spoilers, but he says, "I haven't even hinted about the hidden motives of this film, and miraculously for once, even the trailer doesn't give that away, but I will tell you one thing. I may have made Ben sound like an angel, but he's very much flesh and blood, and none of his actions are supernatural, but he does have his reasons." The director, Gabrielle Muccino, is effective at timing the film's revelations so that they don't come suddenly and that they've revealed at last necessary points in the story. Some people will find it emotionally manipulative. Some people like to be emotionally manipulated. I do, when it's done well. So Lil Raj was a little like, yeah, play with my emotions, baby. And he kind of liked it.
I still don't see why he gave it 3. Like, where's the justification, Roger?
So I skipped a big part of his review. And again, similarly to one of his reviews that I did recently where he was just asking questions. Maybe it was the iRobot
I Am
one.
Legend.
And I Am Legend. He was just like, what's going on here? So I think he really kind of picked apart the like mysterious aspect of it and the that I don't know, it to him it didn't really seem so much of the acting in this movie as it was so much how some of the story was told. I think that's where his issue was.
But that's just a creative choice. Like,
that's true, but
get over it.
His review is not like our podcast where we just try to analyze solely based on actor's perspective. As a film critic, he like tries to look at the whole picture. But I'm like still very scratching my head about Legend of BV, but I'm like maybe he just likes the aspect of a slow sports movie, and that's all it was, a movie about winning a golf tournament in the Great Depression, and that's fine for him. I don't know, but like why
a white man's wet dream, of course. Yes.
So I don't know.
Okay, well, my rating for 7 pounds would be 4 pumps of butter. I love movies like this in terms of like exploring a person and humanity and life, and movies that make you think and question and, you know, reflect. But I like the emotional manipulation part of it is like, it's good, but I wouldn't necessarily like sign up for that each time, you know? So, yeah, I thought Will did an amazing job, really amazing cast, and just beautifully told, shot, like, you know, just, I don't have anything, well, I do have something negative that could be said about it, but yeah.
Yeah. You and I are in agreement with this one. I also give this 4 pumps. It made me feel a lot of things. And I texted Bria last night after I finished watching the movie, and I said, this movie broke me. And I cry at like certain aspects in movies, and sometimes, most of like 99% of the time, it's because it's an animal. Something happened with an animal. And for a movie just about people and their relationship with life and making the most of life, doesn't always get to me, but this one unexpectedly made me really just like take a step back. I laid down on this bed behind me and just like looked up at the ceiling for 30 minutes and just needed to think about it. So to me, it did its job. 4 pumps, man.
Four full pumps. All right. Well, Lil Raj spoke about the trailer, and he, I think, hit it on the head. Like, it definitely is captivating. It doesn't give away what the story's about. I think it actually does a really good job of making you like curious about what it's about. Like,
yes.
So I really liked it. I don't know if 2008 me would have saw this and been like, hey, y'all want to go see? Like, definitely went to see Kung Fu Panda, went to see Mamma Mia, went to see Hancock, but 7 pounds, not so much. 30 or 29 going on 30-year-old me probably would want to see this, but at home, like, not necessarily in the theater. So, but what did you think of the trailer?
Thought it was great. There are a couple of versions out there, but the most common one, and a lot of the ones that they'll play in his like interviews and press junkets, starts off with the line, "The world was built in 7 days, and in 7 seconds I shattered mine." And so automatically it just kind of like, ooh, pulls you in, but you don't know how he shattered it. and then you don't know how he's connected to the other people in this movie. And it hints a little bit with this relationship with Rosario Dawson, but you don't know if it's a thing where they knew each other prior, or they kind of like Hancock, that big reveal of like they're destined to be.
Yeah.
And so I really liked the mysteriousness that not only that this trailer upheld for the movie, but that the movie did a really solid job. It wasn't until the last 10 minutes that I really started to put the puzzle pieces together and was like, oh, I see what's going on here.
Yeah. So, should we summarize
Yes.
7 pounds for
Let's
those
do
who
it.
have not?
Yeah, for those, I'll do it today, and I'm not going to do this off the top of my head. I am going to read this off of someone else's writing. The website is allreaders.com. I don't have the writer of this review, but it starts off with, and I'm just going to say, obviously, every review and every show that we do gives significant spoilers, but sometimes I'll hint like, will they get together at the end, or like what's going to happen? You're just going to have to watch for yourself. Like sometimes we try and leave it mysterious, but I'm going full balls to the wall spoilers for this one. So if you haven't seen this movie yet, just pause it, watch it, and then start at this moment. Okay. A man who caused the accidental deaths of 7 people seeks redemption by handpicking 7 people for his secret project. Tim, in a car accident, leaves 7 people dead, one of them his fiancée. He vows to correct this wrong by giving life to others in need by donating his various organs. He picks 7 people. He spends his time tracking down sick people and meeting them to see if they are worthy. He gives his lung to his brother, a kidney to a coach, part of his liver to a woman, and his bone marrow to a boy. He meets an abused woman and gives her his home. Later, he meets a blind man and a woman, Emily, with a heart ailment. And as he spends time with Emily, he falls in love with her. Despite this unexpected turn of events, he knows that he still needs to complete his mission. His final act is to commit... and I'm going to give a big suicidal warning. This movie does talk of suicide, so we'll drop the suicide hotline at the end. While the executor of his will makes sure that his cornea and heart are left with Emily and the blind man, Ezra. Later on, in a chance meeting, Emily and Ezra meet and find out about their interconnected stories.
Nice and concise.
Nice and concise.
So, let's talk about the cast of this movie. Pretty solid ensemble. We've got, some 6 degrees of J-Lo separation here, with Woody Harrelson playing Ezra, the blind man that Will's character Ben picks or is sussing out to see if he could be a potential candidate for his eyeballs. It's so weird to like say like what he's doing. Like
I know it is. And I will say, if you're just looking at the character names on IMDb, they call, some people have like mysterious names. So Will Smith, and for most of the movie, goes by Ben, but at the last 10 minutes we find out that his name's Tim, and that his brother's name is actually Ben, and that Tim has been impersonating Ben this entire time as an IRS agent. But on IMDb, the man who plays Will Smith's brother is just called Ben's brother. And so I kind of like that they leave it a little ambiguous. So just in case, if you're just like, oh, what's this person in? And then you're on your IMDb rabbit hole or whatever, it's the character names are not so much of a spoiler.
Yeah. Ben's brother is played by the Michael Ealy, who is pretty Black famous because he has very infamously amazing blue eyes. And, amazing to look at, which even the casting director said in behind the scenes things. She's like, I met Michael like when he started early, and he has the most amazing blue eyes, and he's just great to look at. Like, okay, lady, I see. Then we have Ben/Tim, Will's character's friend, played by Barry Pepper, Dan, who becomes pretty essential to his plan.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I'm skipping around here, but let's talk about the Rosario Dawson. This is the second time she's worked with Will. She was in Men in Black 2 with him, and, she got some experience under her belt, I think, by now, and a name for her own self. And so I think it's amazing to see her growth from Men in Black 2 to this movie, and see their chemistry as well in a different light, because Men in Black is like very lighthearted and a comedy and action, and this is very serious and intimate, I would say. What did you think about Rosario's performance as Emily?
Well, the last time we saw her, she was playing Twister with some horny aliens. So I liked to see the growth of her acting skills. I think really highly of her. Not only is she's just like beautiful, but just very has a great range. My first experience with Rosario Dawson was when she played Mimi in the live adaptation movie of Rent. So she was great in that, sang her natural like singing voice was phenomenal. And so I just think that she has a very, I don't know if like soulful is the right word, but just a gentle but demanding screen presence.
Yeah, yeah. I really liked her character, and I felt like this is probably makeup too, but like she played sick well, or ill well. I think she showed like a good range of like vulnerability, and in some things that I watched, like interviews and whatnot, they did highlight the contrast between Emily and Ben, as Emily, despite, the possibility that she could die from her congenital heart disease, she's still very much like lively and has like a life about her. And Ben is very much like, he has made this decision, and he has like kind of simplified and gotten rid of a lot of things, and is like a one suit, one outfit type of dude. And so like seeing that contrast, and then seeing even how her character is able to kind of get him to like open up a little bit, because he's very like much on a man on a mission.
Yeah.
And in some aspects, like he's just, feeling these people out and testing them in some ways. And for them to keep interacting with each other and stuff, like the way that relationship kind of grows is like kind of really pure, I feel like. So I don't know, I can't imagine anyone else in this role necessarily, but I will say that, and this is not because I feel like this, like I just prefaced that, but I did have the thought, just because of like, at first I was like, I don't know what's going on with this guy. Like, does he have anger? At first I thought it was concussion. I was like, oh, he has like the brain issues, and so he's angry and stuff. And then I was like, wait, no, that's concussion. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, what's going on with him? Why is he looking up all these people and stuff? And then so I'm like trying to figure that out, and I'm like, oh, well, he's just like doing like good deeds and like paying it forward and kind of stuff. And so a bit of me was just like, how come he ain't helping no black people? But I say that, and I will say that I think that despite that, this story is just really about humanity, and it shouldn't and doesn't matter. I just do think, I do love that his wife was black, so that's great. But I do think, just going through, even with J-Lo, going through movies of people of color, especially Will, because by this time I'm pretty sure he helped produce this movie. Like, they have established themselves and have some sort of power. And a big way that other people of color get chances is that those kind of people who've made it and established themselves are able to reach back and be like, hey, like, it would be great if, this person. And he's done that before. So it's not to say that he hasn't ever done that or anything like that, but, you know, this is just a type of movie that I feel like wouldn't have been made completely with an all black cast. And that's one thing that, like, people want to change, you know, and be able to see movies with diverse casts that, you know, are encapsulating real life in this kind of way and kindness and stuff like that. So, all that to say that I think that despite that, this movie still has an amazing purpose and story, and the impact is no different just because the cast is diverse in a different way. But that's the only negative thing I can even try to, like, pin on this, and I don't even think it needs to go there, like, so.
Yeah.
Oh, and his wife, so I did mention her, his wife was played by Robin Lee, who was in Hitch, who was the girl that broke his heart in college. And I had my Leo moment. I was like, oh, I know.
Heyo. Yeah. And the actor Joey Nunez, who played the motel owner that Ben stayed at, was the angry cab driver in Pursuit of Happyness. And I only know that.
There's a lot of carryover.
There is.
Pursuit of Happyness. So.
Yeah, quite a bit. Yeah, there was, I only know that just because I was like, who is that person? So when I clicked on his IMDb, I saw Pursuit of Happyness, and, like, his character title was, like, Mad Cab Driver or something. I was like, oh, it was the person that Will Smith, like, got into the car, but he couldn't pay. So he's just like, bye, like, jumped out and had that big chase.
Yeah. So, yeah. Shall we move on to Mr. Smith and his acting choices?
Yeah. I will. I do just want to really quickly note we have a very small appearance by Octavia Spencer. I think she has, like, 2 lines in this movie, but she plays Rosario Dawson's character Emily, her, like, stay-at-home nurse when she was, like, discharged from the hospital. And I was like, like, so it would have been cool if, like, she was someone that also got a touch of the help as well of on his mission. But it's always just so exciting when you see these, like, big people, but, like, in their very early, like, tiny teeny roles. Like, I couldn't imagine her in a small role like this now.
I had that exact same thought because we had that moment with Viola and what's that damn movie? Out of Sight.
Yeah.
Right?
Was it?
Yes. I want to say it's Angel Eyes, but it's not. It's Out of Sight. It is.
Okay. No, was it Lila and Eve?
No, that was later. That was the second time they worked with them. But
it was Out of Sight. Yeah, you're right.
But I think it would be interesting. I saw Octavia Spencer and I was like, yo, it would be so interesting to, because I feel like Will definitely was already a star in some sense, and so it's just like a matter of him, you know, gaining more experience in film work. And then Jennifer Lopez, like, I feel like her transition was like, it did start small, but, like, I feel like after Selena, it was just like, you know, boom.
Yeah.
Like, leading lady, co-lead kind of thing. And so it would be really interesting to have a season, and not that we're going to choose it for that reason, but to have a season where, and I know you hate movies where they're not in it very much, but, like, to see that kind of, like, career progression of just, like, these little tiny little itty bitty roles, and then to see women like Viola and Octavia who have made these huge, like, careers and, like, reputations in the movie industry come from, like, these, like, 2-line non-speaking, like, background kind of roles. And even then, like, the 2 lines, like, you notice her and she does stand out because, like, she's got, like, this kind of attitude kind of thing. And into the audacity of, like, how dare I be, like, almost dying and I hire you to help take care of me and ease some of life and whatnot. And so in case I do damn near die, someone's here. How dare I be cooking for both of us? And then you have the nerve to be like, I don't like the eggs you buy. Like, it wasn't that great. I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
Rude. But yeah, Octavia Spencer, amazing. I actually met her once, but
Was it at Sundance?
yes, because she's in Fruitvale Station. So like right after I got Michael B. Jordan's autograph, like I saw her and I was just like, just do it again, man. Like, excuse me, Miss Spencer. But okay, we'll
Yes.
roll as Ben.
Yes.
Like I said, I was confused. I was like, what is
Yeah.
he doing? Like,
Yeah. I was confused at first, but I liked that. I specifically said, I know this will all make sense later, but so much of this is clouded with mystery, but the suspense of it all is keeping me very interested as a viewer. And Will, as a clean shaven man, always, I think, just reminds me of when he was in 6 Degrees. He was very like clean cut, preppy,
6 Degrees.
of Separation.
Oh. I'm like, yeah, that's a game, Simone. I
No,
forgot. It's a fucking
movie.
It's like a second movie. Okay, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, when he looks really like clean shaven. I want to say he was leaner in this movie too. We see him shirtless briefly. He takes a little dip in the ocean and comes out, but he's still very muscular and built. And I really liked, the first couple of minutes he's on the phone with Ezra, played by Woody Harrelson, who he goes from being like very humorous about being a vegetarian meat salesman to asshole really quickly, and then he gets really angry on the phone, and later we realize that he's doing this to kind of like test Ezra a little bit. But I felt that switch came on really quickly, and I liked that as well. And Will can like play it really cool. Like when he's pretending to be the IRS person and he's just like chatting with someone. He's like, okay, that's fine. I'll be in touch. And then he's interviewing kind of someone that he is considering changing his life around. He runs like an old folks home. And then he realizes that he's not taking care of the patients that are in there. And he like pushes him up against the wall and his head like breaks the glass on the back. And he's like, the deal is off. It just felt, I liked the kind of, you had said this earlier, you're like, what's his deal? Like, was it the concussion that's making him very reactory? And then we see these really vulnerable moments as he gets to know Emily more, and he's very reluctant with sharing about his past, obviously.
And a lot of the behind the scenes stuff in his interviews, and other people talking about the film, the director, the writer, they talk about this sadness that he has and is able to portray. And I don't think we've seen that except for maybe I Am Legend and maybe a little bit of Pursuit of Happyness. I feel like Pursuit of Happyness, he too was on a mission and he had his son. So, parents tend to hide a lot and be able to like, smile and carry on in a way that you wouldn't know, like that, we're homeless and I'm trying my damnedest to like get us out of this situation. Whereas this, he's pretty much like, besides his brother and his friend Dan, a man without very many like people depending on him. So I feel like you feel that sadness and that loneliness in a multitude of ways from him, like leaving his house to staying in a hotel to taking these drives and trips and stuff, or even him sussing out these people and like watching them from a distance in the hospital cafeteria or in a diner by himself. And I thought that was really, really the biggest part of his acting choices here, is like how he was able to convey that. But another thing that really didn't strike me until I heard Will talk about it was how hard it is for Ben/Tim to kind of grasp what is happening with him and Emily. And at first I was just like, well, he's only trying to figure out if, hey, should I give her my heart in very double kind of entendre way. But I didn't realize that he had like closed himself off so much that he forgot what flirting and like
Mhm.
all that kind of stuff was. And I didn't pick up on that and it clicked. But like, I was like, wow, that's a very nuanced thing because I just thought he was just like, look, lady, like, I'm not interested. Like, I
Mhm.
can be nice and, keep you company and all these things. But he just was like so like out of touch and closed off that he genuinely was like aloof to her, like making moves and suggestions. And like when she calls him and is like, hey, like, are you busy? Like, you want to get dinner? Like, and
Mhm.
he's like, okay. And then he goes over there and he's like, dinner? Like, I thought I was just coming over. Like,
Yeah,
he's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like, he has no understanding of what a woman inviting you over, not even late at night, but for evening could entail. Like,
Truly. It
but
reminded me a little of in I Am Legend when the woman and he like meets up with the woman and the little boy, that he has that moment. She made him like the bacon and eggs, and he's like saving that bacon. He like chucked it against the wall. And then he comes back into the room and starts quoting Shrek as the boy's watching it. And that's how much like social isolation he has and not talked to a real human in a long time. And I felt that that chemistry between him and Emily were very similar in that he just was like, not really knowing how to approach the situation in any other way besides the fact of like, I think this is going to be someone that I want to help, but that he couldn't possibly see that it would have led to something else as well.
yeah. And going back to like him and Rosario, I think that they had really good chemistry.
Oh yeah.
It's kind
It's
of
very
scary
instant.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but I liked it better than Men in Black. I felt like in Men in Black it
Oh,
just felt really rushed. He saved her life and then she was like they were ready to get married 2 days later. Like it all
yeah.
seemed very, very quick. And although this relationship was quick, you know, she also didn't have a lot of people that she could rely on as well. And all of a sudden, this guardian angel comes into her life and says, oh, I can give you this like, tax break and this extension. And she goes, why do I get the feeling that you're doing me a really big favor? He's like, because you really deserve it. And I think that from then on out, she sees not necessarily a romantic relationship, but feels that she can really trust him. And definitely noted that they have a very great, quick connection and attraction. Um, and they when they do become intimate with one another, um that scene was great. And I felt, how I feel about sex scenes, and I thought that that was a very wonderfully done moment where they were together. And when I say together, like they had sex. So I mean, I'm like dancing
One
around
thing
it.
I did not like about that is that his brother shows up. So they have dinner and, he's like kind of loosening up. They start
Hmm.
playing games where they're like singing songs and stuff.
Hmm.
He
They
shows her,
dance a little bit.
he fixed her printing press, all
Which
this
is
stuff.
such a love language. Like, so she had like either went to sleep or something, and he kind of snuck in the back into her shed where she had kept her in her like previous career before she got sick. She made like invitations, really, really nice, beautiful handmade pressed invitations. And one of her favorite machines was broken. And he just went in there and figured it out how to do. And I, I know just because I know that that's like my partner's love language of like, he's not going to come home and bring me flowers and be like, I'm thinking of you. He'd be like, oh, your dog died. Let's make something together and let's build something together that's going to like immortalize her or like as a memorial. So, like, Kevin just loves to like build things and fix things and put things together. And I was like, that's for sure a love language. Love that.
Yes, pretty damn good at it too, him and his
Mhm.
projector setup. I was highly impressed. and it's portable. Like, I was like, garage outside anywhere. Like, but, and this is for Simone's birthday, by the way, that passed. So wish her a happy birthday. But yeah, that was a very endearing moment. At first I was like, oh, he crazy. Like, cause it looks like he's just breaking into her shed. And then I was like, oh, he's gonna fix it. Oh, okay. Oh, you know what I thought he was gonna do? I thought he was gonna leave her a letter there, like, about what he was doing.
Yeah.
I was prepared for, like, that to be kind of the end of it. But yeah, I wasn't prepared for that. And I was like, oh my God, he's fixing it? Like, what the hell? And it's notoriously, like, a complicated, very old machine that is not very, like, easy to fix, or not a lot of people can. So the fact that he somehow figures it out and fixes it is kind of like, that's better than any diamond. Like, probably. Truly. But yeah, so he shows her that he fixed it. That's when they kiss, right? Or is it when they're dancing?
She hugs him after, and then he goes like, I don't want to keep lying to you. And then that's when they pull in for a kiss. And when they do go to her room and he kind of just like does one thing that I love of just like pushing you up against a wall and kind of like lifting you up a little bit and like kissing you and roughing you a little bit, but also wanting to be mindful and be gentle with her, knowing that she has a failing heart. But as they're kissing, he has like tears coming down, knowing that this will be the last time that they're together like this. Probably a bit of grief too from his past relationship.
Well, and part of that is, like I was getting at, I don't remember at what point, but eventually initially when he came over, he had a gift and he was like, nah, and he left it in the car. So he's going to go back to get that gift. And when he was going to the car, his brother somehow found him, which really suspicious, but is like, trying to confront him.
Yeah, I think because his brother is the IRS agent and saw that, like, he had like a profile on stuff. Yeah,
because he says, every inquiry you make as an IRS person into someone is recorded or kept track of in some regard. So like, you're essentially almost like fucking over my career with whatever you're doing. And he doesn't really know what he's up to and what he decided. I think he has a feeling, but he hasn't come out and said it or anything. And so he's like, look, I don't know who this chick is or whatever, but I'm going to stay here and we're going to talk. Like, you're not going to just keep shooing me off. Yeah. So he goes back in and he tries to leave and he's like, I got to go. Like, I got things I need to take care of and stuff. And so she very aggressively also kisses him, but not aggressively, but like, it's aggressive, but also like, yes, and intimate. And so then, that leads into the doing the deed. But it just bothered me because I was like, is his brother just waiting out there this whole time?
Yeah, can you imagine they're in the middle and he can like look out the window and like see his brother? So like, I would feel so rushed.
Well, because his brother was like, don't make me come knock on the door. Yeah. Like, so I'm like, depending on the situation, like, was there a point where Ben's brother, Michael Ealy, was just like, come on, man, like, what are you doing in there? Like, so that part of it bothered me. I kind of wish he just, like, kind of private-eyed him and, like, sat in the car and was like, okay, he's here. What is he doing here? And just waited for him to, like, leave or come out, Well, he did when he was getting the gift. But, like, more so, like, getting in the car and about to leave than, getting out and confronting him there. But, I mean, that's just a small thing where I was just like, poor Michael Ealy was just, like, waiting. And then I think after that, Will left, he crept out and he had made up his mind that he needed to like go through with everything.
Yeah, and he ran back to the hotel and
the hospital too. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I also love too that you had said this earlier that he's like a one suit, one style man. and that Rosario Dawson's Emily's gift to him was like just a nice like pink polo shirt and like a pair of nice fitted jeans.
Yeah. I was confused about that initially too, because she was like, "Oh, here, take this, because you're not ready for our date." And I was like, "What?" Like, he's in a nice suit. Like, he looks better than most dudes will pull up to a date now. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
okay. But yeah, that was like a way for her, I think, to try to get him to like relax and be like, don't be so like rigid and stiff about everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like what do we think about the choice to do this really severe act of kindness of
I mean, the it's a big decision. Yet we hear about organ transplants or organ donating a lot. You know, some people can donate. You can donate bone marrow. You can donate blood without having to risk too much. You can donate a kidney to someone and be okay. He donated part of his lung as well to and still be okay. That in itself, I think, is a real act of radical love. But obviously, for eyes, heart, and other vital organs that are necessary to keep you pumping, not so much your eyes, but for obviously your heart, those are only harvestable organs that can be used posthumously. No one's going, you don't hear often of like assisted suicides to give these organs to other people. It's only if you're like a donor and if they're usable at the time of your death. I just on a very personal note, my uncle has a heart transplant, and his heart was from a boy who died in a car accident, a young boy. I think he was like between the ages of like 17 and 21. And he got to meet the boy's parents after he had, recovered and was discharged from the hospital. And they got to have this intimate moment where they could put their ears on his chest and like listen to his heartbeat. And at the end of the movie, when we know that Tim/Ben's heart is in her. And I love that metaphor of like, I'm literally giving you my heart in many different aspects and ways. I just thought was so unbelievably beautiful, and what a gift. The only thing that made me go, was that Ezra, we don't know if he was born a blind person or but he did say that the ocean's blue. So we don't know if he just knew that because that's factual and just had to take that as fact, or if he previously had sight and lost it. But what if Ezra like wasn't on a list and a doctor contacted him and was like, hey, we have some eyes for you. And he's just like, no, okay. Like, I can make it without it,
Yeah.
Then what? Like, then where would those ojos go? I don't know. But I thought that, that it was so beautiful. And when she goes to visit him and see his eyes, and it's almost, a little bit like looking at him. I'm darting around your overall question. I think I don't know if it's courageous. It's obviously a very selfless act. And sometimes people can view suicide as a very selfish act. Some families who I know who have been affected by suicide constantly say that their partners or family members' choice of killing themselves was selfish, not knowing how it would have affected other people, even though most of the times when someone is really struggling, their first thought is people would be better off without me, and not knowing how that is actually going to affect people. I think it was the manner of the suicide that I thought was really intense, which for those who haven't seen it but are still writing the journey, Ben has this story of the time that his father took him and his brothers to the Monterey Bay Aquarium, and they saw box jellyfish, which we love the Bay Area. Shout out. He also grew up in Oakland.
Yes, I didn't make that note.
And he had a box jellyfish as a pet. You can actually keep a jellyfish in captivity in a circular aquarium as long as it's always circular. It can't have corners or edges. It has to be circular because that gives the illusion of like an open ocean, I think. Is that wrong?
I don't know. I was just impressed, and that's like my first note. I was like, "What a flex to have a jellyfish!"
A
in
true
your house.
flex. Like to have a fish tank is one thing. To have exotic fish, like a dentist's office exotic fish with like a puffer fish and maybe a lionfish, you're like, oh damn, because that's expensive maintenance.
Like
yeah. But a jellyfish is huge. So one thing about box jellyfish is that their sting is so venomous that it will send someone into cardiac arrest, essentially. So he takes his pet jellyfish and puts it in the tub with him and he's also in ice as well.
Yeah, that's what the note on the floor said, which you can't really see when you watch the movie,
I missed
but
it.
on IMDb, someone did take the pleasure of being like, the note says, like, do not touch the jellyfish, just get me to a hospital or something like that.
Okay. See, I
thought it was like, don't risk.
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
I was just going to say, I thought it was like a don't resuscitate note or something.
I see. Yeah. Well, at this point, I was
But
so
still,
emotionally
that's
distraught.
dicey.
Very dicey.
How, like, what if they can't get him without, like, what if the jellyfish is just, like, chilling, like, you know, by an area that would be useful to get him out, and they're just like, what the fuck do we do? Like, I don't know.
It is possible that the jellyfish also could have died shortly because it was in an ice bath in fresh water.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe, I don't know how long it takes for a fish like that to die in its unnatural habitat.
If I ever make decent money in life, I want a jellyfish. Although I did see someone on YouTube watching interviews, like other YouTubers, content creators who watch 7 Pounds, their videos and reviews were being suggested, and I did see one lady who was just like it's not okay to have a jellyfish as a pet or something, and I was just like, is it not? Like, I don't know. I didn't take issue with it, but I mean, I do think keeping animals who are usually in this beautiful, vast thing called the ocean in captivity isn't the greatest thing, but putting that aside, it is cool. Like,
no, that's
it's like
a
having
fucking
sharks.
flex. That is a flex for sure.
It's like villains with sharks, like the shark pit or like the alligator pit or something. The giving up his organs thing, I feel like I kind of wish, because we don't really understand why he's doing it until the end too, when there's pieces of the car wreck throughout the movie, but we don't, like, we get a sense, okay, like, he was in an accident, his wife was in an accident, but we don't really get a sense fully of, like, his guilt around it and why. And so for most of it, I'm like, this is an extreme way to, like, repent for feeling like you caused this and, you lost this person. And then once he and Emily are intimate together, they're cuddling, and she's like, oh, what if, I get a heart and, things could be better.
The what if game.
Yeah, and then I don't know why he asked her, like, what if we get married and have kids? Like, why would you do that? You know what you're gonna do. Like, and I thought that was kind of fucked up. But part of me, like, and two, I understand that one reason he runs to the hospital first is to ask the doctor, like, hey, what is the probability? Like, it's kind of like he wanted to know, like, maybe I don't have to do this. Maybe I can, like, maybe there's a heart that she can have and I can be with her and stuff. And the doctor is just like, it's not promising. Like, she needs, like, a donation soon.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what prompts him to go back to the hotel and to call his friend. And that's the other thing. I don't want to put you on the spot, but like if someone asked, and I've seen this on like Grace and Frankie,
Yeah.
where one of their friends, she threw like a grand old birthday party and was just like, woo, and she's like, okay, well, now I want you guys to help me like assisted suicide. And they were just like, what? But I think that's a lot to ask of someone too. And his friend was like, I love you, so I'm going to do this, but this is hard on me. And
Mm-hmm.
Barry Pepper did an amazing job.
Yes.
And that's when I started to figure it out a little bit, because like the paperwork and stuff, and then once he gave away the house, and I was like, oh, like he's like trying to give away stuff or something like that, or like get his affairs in order for something. But asking someone to help you set that up and do that is a huge ask, and I don't know if I could do that.
I think if the circumstances were different, if you were terminally ill and you knew that death was imminent and you were given like a 6-month period to live, and to get your affairs in order in 6 months to drastically benefit someone else's life and their outcomes, it would be so hard. But that's something that makes it a little bit easier for me to get on board with versus someone who is perfectly healthy, but knows at some point that they're going to kill themselves. Like, I don't know if I could assist in the actual suicide. I wouldn't be able to assist in the actual suicide aspect of it. But, I think about things of like, for people who do have ticking clocks above their, I mean, when you think about it, we all have a ticking clock above our head, but like some are more apparent than others. For people who have like bucket lists that they want to cross off, like that is something that I think would be such a beautiful thing to be a part of, and to celebrate someone's life and really help them do the things that they've always wanted to do all the time that they're there. But this is a lot different from that. It's not like I want to go to Aruba. It's like I'm giving my house to a woman in need with her 2 children and stuff. And you're a lawyer and you can sign papers and you can get this done for me. It's so hard.
The house thing too, it's iffy to me, because I feel like, one, that's amazing property. And so part of me is just like, how is this woman going to maintain this home, pay for like, to the thing most people don't think about when having like larger homes and things, is like you have bigger bills, you have more expenses, your property taxes are crazy, like, and this is like private beachfront property. So I'm curious like how realistic it is to be able to like gift someone some dope ass property, but them not really be in a position to financially sustain it.
Yeah, I just have to believe and put the thought that he had that taken care of already, whether he had a certain amount of money saved up to pay for property taxes. I'm assuming he owns the house rather than like paying for a mortgage. And that had to have been included in the paperwork, because that's, you hear about that for people who like win a house either on like a game show,
like Dream
or
Home,
Dream Home
TV,
and then they don't realize like, I can't maintain this, I can't live here for longer than like a year.
Yeah. Sorry to this Aspen ski home that I won, but gonna have to. Well, now people probably just like Airbnb, HG. They probably don't even do that anymore because of that. But they're like, great, I got an Airbnb out of this. Like, but yeah, okay, yeah, that's. And it's not something that took me out of the movie, but it's just something that like the millennial, I may never be a homeowner like person in me was just like, can this single mom of 2 really have like. Because if someone gave me that house, I would want to keep it. I wouldn't be like, bet I'm going to sell this and pocket like the cash.
I'm sure he chose her knowing that she would like not take that for granted and would keep the house and make a new life. Not saying that, not victim blaming of her situation prior to the house. She's in a very abusive relationship with her boyfriend. Her kids were at danger. And so hopefully she can either like change her name, start a new life, get a job somewhere else, and, send her kids to another school. That I think that might have been one of the reasons why he chose her, because he just knew that she wouldn't be like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to sell this and then I'm going to go, somewhere else.
And that's like, I think that too was like a smart story choice to start out with that act of kindness, because it's very low stakes, in comparison. And it kind of serves as like this like bait of being like, oh, okay, like he's just like gonna give away money or, his like personal possessions and stuff and try to help people's lives and stuff, versus being like, he giving away organs? Like, So I thought that was a good like red herring of like, oh, okay, like he's just having like random acts of kindness. Let's see, what else? In some of Will's interviews, some quotes that stuck out to me, he calls this one of the darkest roles he's ever played, and he labels this not your father's Will Smith movie, which I thought was clever.
Yeah.
But he also talks about like how it was hard for him to take, like, he said he's not a good enough actor at that point or this point to take the mask off at the end of the day. So he talks about how, going home, Jaden, kind of calls him out and is just like, whatever you're doing at work must be heavy, because you need to drop that off at the door, because this is not gonna work. And so I think that I know 6 degrees of separation, he said he went method, and that kind of fucked up his first marriage in some senses. And maybe that also deterred him from drama, because, after that, it's very much action, sci-fi, like big blockbuster movies. And now we're back in a period of drama and more thought-provoking work. So I'm curious if, like, how method he went with this role.
Yeah, that would be a really good interview question to ask, and something I'm curious about for all actors. How having a role like this and playing a person who is so mentally tormented by their trauma, that they're like, if he thinks about dying every day, he's obviously very much made peace with the fact that at some point he will die. And how do you not take that home? Because even, this is like such a shitty example, but like, sometimes I'll have a hard day at work, and if like a student comes to me with their issue and something that they're really struggling with, I mean, my first response is, I'm unfortunately not the school counselor. Here are some really great trusted people that you can talk to more in depth about this kind of issue, but know that I'm here to support you. And then as soon as they walk out the door, you just like, you can't help but to burst into tears. And how a role like this really plays into, someone's mental health issues. And I think one thing too that also made me really sad about this movie is that recently there was a interview that Will Smith was in where he talks about what happened after the Oscars, that Chris Rock is still not interested in talking with him. And I had like tagged Bria in this meme that originally I thought was funny, but then the more times I watched it, the like pain I saw on his face. And in part of the interview, Will Smith says like, I'm just trying not to feel like a piece of shit every day. And he's clearly struggling. And I don't know if this was like something that was building up prior to the Oscars, but I really think feels very poorly and bad about what happened, especially after building this reputation of being a family man, a funny man, a wholesome man. He can still be braggadocious, as you like to say, about his film and movies and his albums and stuff. We just tore apart Born to Reign and Lost and Found a few episodes back, but like, I feel like Will Smith recently just looks like such a broken person, and it's very different charismatic wise of what we've been used to as seeing him. And so that too kind of contributed to me just like sitting down and like looking at the ceiling and being like, is Will Smith now a risk? I don't know. It just gave me some like ominous,
Like,
weird
is he not
feelings.
okay?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not to like downplay anything. Like, I do think, like, when I watched that, and I posted my initial thoughts on TikTok, but I watched that and I was like, he's being sincere and genuine, and I know some people are like, oh, it's not enough, or it's really late. Like, why'd he wait so long, or all these things. And I'm just like, everyone comes to a point where they feel comfortable enough. Maybe they've worked through enough in their head. I know I'm someone who, like, will have scenarios like, if I say this, then, like, is this good enough, or is that going to make someone upset, or and so that was his choice. But, like, there's nothing about the apology that I was like, oh, this seems phony, or this seems really forced. And a lot of celebrity apologies tend to feel like that, because it's like, oh yeah, you got caught, or you made a boo-boo, and now everyone's calling for your head, so of course you're gonna apologize. Of course you're gonna go on Good Morning America and say a PR statement of whatever you need. But have you really sat with that, and do you really realize, like, whatever it is that you did? That, like, one thing that comes to mind is, like, after Chris Brown and Rihanna, like, I remember Chris Brown having, like, a fit, I think at Good Morning America.
He threw a chair. Didn't he, like, break some glass?
Yeah, he threw a chair, and, I think he was shirtless and stuff. And, at that time, he's really young, and just everything that comes with that kind of success at that age and that kind of scrutiny and stuff. Like, at that time, I felt bad for him. And I was like, he just needs to step back and, figure some stuff out. I feel very differently about Chris Brown now, because I feel like he's old enough and he has money and the ability to get tools to help him. And I don't think he necessarily has done that, but I don't know that man. But I don't enter that room anymore of discourse with him in that regard. But, in those instances, it's like he wasn't ready to do that, and it backfired. And then now there's even more criticism because it backfired. So, like, when people are like, oh, why did he wait all this time to do? Because what do you want him to do? Like, first of all, he issued a statement after the Oscars. I didn't intend this to become.
No, like, I'm sorry I brought it up, but
but he issued a statement. He apologized, I feel like, somewhat, but not fully, to Chris during his acceptance speech. But he acknowledged what had just happened, and then he issued a statement afterwards. Like, and then eventually he found a place where he could be on camera, and sure, it was like probably in his home studio or something. But, like, why, just like when the entanglement stuff was out, Jada Pinkett didn't go on Oprah. She didn't go on Good Morning America, or, the Wendy Williams show, or wherever someone ever you can say. She has a platform that is very much under her control, and whether that's good or bad because someone can't hold her feet to the fire, that's their situation. So of course I'd be like, yeah, we'll just do a red table about the entanglement, and who better to hold you to your feet to the fire than your own husband in that situation. So in this sense, it's like, of course Will is gonna, like, make a video in a safe space for him, and it is what it is. I don't know what point I'm getting at anymore besides talking about this, but I'm not that.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I'm not that worried about him, because I feel like he took the time, and he has the resources, and he is someone who is continuously striving for improvement, being better, excellency, And that is not just in terms of making big blockbuster movies or winning awards or making big records. Like, he has done the work of trying to look at himself and his traumas, and that's continuous. This movie and a bunch of other very cosmic things, I feel like, has made me like stop and think and be like, I'm not, since COVID, I haven't really been in a space of like, I can handle the hard work of bettering myself. I've been very complacent, I feel like. And part of this movie makes me like, I really need to work on myself still. Like, I'm still not who or where I want to be. And hopefully I can get to that and I can actually confront like having to do that work, because it's not easy. Like, it's not easy to be like, I don't do this well, or I'm not as good at this as I could be, or I could be better in this area, or be a better person, or handle these things better, or all kinds of stuff. But yeah, I'm not too worried in that aspect about him, but I get it, like, in terms of like, you can tell something's different about him, like, in being like, he's not himself yet after the incident, probably.
Yeah.
And that was our yellow table talk.
And there we go. That's our deep yellow table talk. This movie is fantastic. I wish it too, because looking at the other movies that were released this month, there were Oscar contenders. Doubt won some shit. Benjamin Button won some shit. And I wish that this, and similar to Pursuit of Happyness, like, Gabrielle Muccino's a very great director. And I'm surprised that there weren't any nominations or nods.
Yeah. This movie, it surprises me too, because like, I feel like Pursuit of Happyness was good, but I feel like this is better in some ways. And they're very different movies, but I don't know. Like, I just felt like this story was... Like, Pursuit of Happyness, I have problems with, like, the whole, like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, American dream, if you persist, if you do all this stuff that is not necessarily always gonna work out, then look at what can happen to you. And this movie, there's nothing about this that I'm like, this isn't possible. Like, this is very much possible. And even if it's not... even if it's not donating your organs and, you know, committing suicide to do so, and that kind of thing, it is very much possible to change someone's life by, you know, taking time to get to know them. And it's very much possible to see the good in people and the deserving in people to have a chance for something. I see on TikTok and social media, there's these videos of like random acts of kindness of like people who, I don't know how, but are able to give like money or like huge, you know, just things. I saw this one of like the little ice cream cart man, you know, street vendor, and he, like, people were buying ice cream, little popsicles from him, and he was like, oh, well, to thank you for, you know, supporting street vendors, here's the Apple Watch, and here's some AirPods, and
oh my God,
here's a tablet. And people are buying, like, you know, popsicles, $3 ice, $2, $1 ice cream from him, and he's returning, like, saying thank you to just them not even, like, shunning a street vendor or something like that by giving them, like, hundreds of dollars worth of tech devices. Wow. And I just saw one of a homeless lady where a guy was like, hey, you know, I just ran out of gas. Do you have any money? Which, if it was me, I would be like, are you serious? Like, but this lady, homeless on the streets, is like, yeah, I have a couple bucks. Like, let me grab it. And so she goes and gets, like, the few little dollars she has. God. And she's like, here you go. And he's like, you're going to give... She's like, that's all I got. And she's like, you're going to give me your last dollars so I could get gas? And she's like, yeah, why not? And I'm just like, I don't have that in me. Like, but he's like, well, thank you for doing that. And I was going to give the first person who gave me money for gas $500. So here you go. And she's speechless. and can't even
So that was a
have
stunt.
the words. I guess you could say that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like this, where he's like sussing out these people.
Okay.
Are they gonna do the right thing and the selfless thing and the kindest thing ever, even in a time of like they could really use those $3 that they do have, and they're gonna give it to me anyways. Okay, great. Here's more money that you very much deserve. I do wonder, though, those things. I've never seen one where people are like, fuck you, man. Like, and if they still give them money, because I feel like that person would have a right to be like, no, fuck you. Absolutely not. I have like $3 and this is where I'm sleeping. Like, you have a car. Like, you could go, I don't know, do something, and you're recording me with a phone or something. Like, you have means to, I don't know.
Yeah, it's
but see, this is why I'm not getting any random acts of kindness or uplifting, because I'm just like, absolutely not. You have things that I don't have, and no. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's so hard. Like, that's not an easy, like, as a kid, the pureness of me, I would see people and I would be like, when I get big and I'm an adult and I have money, I'm going to give those people money. Or my grandma didn't drive and she walked and took the bus everywhere. And I was like, when I can drive, I'm going to take her wherever she needs to go. Or, you know, maybe I could just do that to random old ladies. Now the adult, hardened, like, society person of me is just like, I don't know that old lady. She could be trying to, like, sex traffic me. Like, like.
She's like, you want a stick of gum? And you look over and she's, like, holding a knife. And you're like, no.
But, like, sometimes I still see, like, homelessness is so terrible in California, in the Bay Area, and, you know, America right now, that you see those people and you see tent cities and stuff. But, like, you know, I still see, like, little old ladies, you know, walking with their little little shopping carts or stuff like that, and I'm just like, I mean, would she really hurt me if I just stopped and was like, hey, do you need a lift? But, you know, maybe life were so,
that could be a nice like summertime job, or like just to have a free Uber shuttle service for the elderly.
Yeah, but see, also, the thing you don't know as a kid is, like, that stuff takes money.
True.
You know? And you have to be in a position to be able to, like, sacrifice and give. And I'm sure I could sacrifice, like, a couple tanks of gas. But, like, how long and how much of a service am I if I can only do it? I guess something's better than nothing. But, you know, versus, like, an actual, like, service of, like, a Uber that's not gonna just, like, oh, hey, Mary, today I can't do it. I gotta pay a bill. Like, or I'm running low. Like, so, and then how many people would I be able to help or do that for?
Right. And sometimes having a phone is not always accessible, especially to, like, to the elderly. They may not even know how to, like, be in touch or be in contact. But anyways, that just, like, sparked. I was like, that's a really lovely, like, nonprofit organization idea for, like, college kids to safely drive around the elderly.
High school to...
They're logging in their hours.
Yeah, excuse me, community service hours.
Yes.
I don't know. Yes. I think we have, obviously, I'm not a horrible wretch. I think we have moments of, you know, compassion and empathy and humanity and stuff. But society in so many ways has, like, also, like, kind of twisted into us, like,
agreed.
Well, what about this and what about that? And so you lose that just spontaneity of, like, I'm just going to do this good thing. And you might just be like, okay, but, like, what about the logistics of this? Which is what I just did. Like, how many car rides can I offer? Or, you know, how often would I be able to do that? What if I can't do it and they're in need of something at that very moment? Like, you know, see, look at me. But anyway, but I don't think we're completely lost as human beings.
No, but there's still some goodness, but it's hard not to feel jaded.
I do want to point out that, like, I don't know if you have this thought, but this movie isn't completely a true story, but it is inspired by someone who went through something kind of similar. So the writer had went to a cocktail party at his parents', I guess, and there was this man there, and he was just like, this dude is like the saddest person I've ever met. Like, and I guess he's conversing with him throughout the party, and then afterwards he like said something to his mom, and she's like, well, do you know like why, like what happened to him or whatever? And I guess that person was involved in their job, did something that a choice they made or something could have potentially caused like this huge national catastrophe that 7 people died in. So it makes me think of like in Breaking Bad when the girl Jesse's dating, her dad is an air flight controller, and he's in so much grief that like the flights are just the fucked, and then there's a plane crash and stuff, something like that, where like, you know, and so he just feels like this tremendous guilt about like, I caused this thing, and so he carries that with him, and so he was inspired enough by that interaction to write this whole movie about this. And this is his first feature film.
Yeah. For a writer. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. So I'm curious who this man is and what the tragedy was. But I also respect his privacy if we never know or find out, because he already clearly has trauma and feels guilty. So, but yeah, I did not think of a cocktail or a snack for this movie.
I didn't think of a snack, but I do have a cocktail, and you can tell me if it's insensitive.
Okay.
But I was inspired by the jellyfish, and there's a cocktail called the jellyfish shot. Oh. And it's similar. Actually, I have the ingredients for it, and I was thinking about making one on camera to see how the effect would look. Do you want me to pause and give it a try?
Why not? Whip out the blue carousel.
That's it. So this drink it's blue carousel, vodka, sambuca, and a drop of heavy cream. And supposedly when you drop the heavy cream in it, it makes this clouded jellyfish effect. So I have leftover shark bite blue carousel mix from the Jaws party, and I have some heavy cream. So I'm gonna pause, and then we're gonna come back in magic 3, 2, 1. Okay, so this might not work, but it might, and it might end up looking really cool. So who knows? Maybe we'll just try doing this another time if this doesn't look cool.
You'll practice and make a video, and then I'll put it on TikTok.
So I have in here the like blue carousel mixture. I don't have sambuca, but this is fine. It does the blue trick. And then in here I have a little liquid dropper. I was thinking about using just like my pinky, but it turns out that we do have a liquid dropper. So let's see how this turns out. Actually, maybe let me hold up my phone and we'll do a little like Inception. What up? Okay, because maybe the side angle might work.
She's going in for the drop. And we have action. It reminds me of when you put creamer in your coffee.
I mean, this is coffee creamer, honestly.
Pew.
That's it, everyone.
Hooray! Ooh, that one like looked all stringy. Like it's still like floating.
Oh yeah. Should I do like larger drops, you think?
I think you should just pour it in there. Did it say drop?
It just said like very carefully drop it in, but I'm gonna give it a squirt. Oh, that looks cool.
Remember, I think for like Men in Black, we looked up like alien brains or something.
Oh yeah, that had some goopy shit in it.
Yeah. You're not gonna drink it?
Oh, I will. Let's see how this drinks with cinnamon vanilla coffee mate. It's even sweeter.
Oh, and the shark bite was sweet.
Yeah, it was already sweet. But overall, not bad. I'm not going to go out of my way to put fucking heavy cream in an already sugary cocktail, but for the aesthetic and the gram of it, it's pretty fun, I guess. So there you have it. Bartending class, jellyfish shot.
Not a snack, but I do love eggplant parmesan. So.
Oh, of course! That was it. It was jellyfish bite and eggplant parm. That's the meal that Emily makes Ben when he goes over to his house, because she is vegetarian. Were we gonna say the big dog?
No, I was gonna say the pie at the diner that Ezra is at. But yes, which is a diner in, I think, Encino. So if we ever do take our LA trip and we get to, do some stuff.
Yeah.
We should go there.
The motel that he stayed at was also used in the film Memento. That movie is one of like Chris Nolan's really early films. Really good.
Haven't seen it. Put it on my list.
That's it.
I just keep saying exists, but hasn't really been formed. So sorry to that list.
This jizz at the bottom.
It just looks like cum in the pool, like
delicious
little swimmers. Yeah, I mean, this movie, I am officially in another existential crisis now. So thank you, Will, and watch this when you've done some therapy work, like
truly.
All right. Thank you for listening to this week's episode, and to the people who've stuck with us so far, please come back for another episode of the Pay It Forward version of Inside the Actor's Studio.
Nice. But seriously, if you like us enough to stick around, take another deep dive down this IMDb rabbit hole as we discuss Will Smith in the 2009 trilogy, our first ever third in a movie sequel, MIIB, with Men in Black 3, but this time it's a prequel. And I do want to quickly jot down that although just because this movie does have references and does include a suicide, help is available. You may speak with someone today by dialing the new suicide hotline, which is 988.
Yes. So utilize resources that are very much available. And I would like to note that we officially only have 11 movies left.
Wait, really? Why do I have 13? Anyways, so we have 11 full roles left.
Yes. So on that note, if you've got nothing better to do, go figure out a theme to watch a bunch of movies you've never seen.
I'm your host, Simone. Subscribe to The Blessed Mess. Leave us a like if you're into it. We have some awesome merch on Redbubble. You can get some stickers, some shirts, some hoodies, a tote bag, some sacks. There's lots of fun things.
Yes, and I'm your host, Bria, and it would be awesome for you to wipe off those buttery popcorn fingers and give us a review. Follow us at Roll Call Pod on Instagram, TikTok, and my problematic fave, Twitter, and also listen to us on YouTube, and you can watch the halftime episode that we did and see us talk and not just listen to us. But yeah, this has been another episode of
Roll Call. And
we should have hummed it like in the movie.
What was it? La 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 la. Roll call. Roll call. Listen to my podcast.